We are talking Texas Longhorn transfer portal, and I got JD Piquel running shotgun. You guys know JD. He works on the On3 channel. He also sits right there behind us. You always see him moving around in the background. And always, Portal Talk is brought to you by Teamworks Intelligence. Every player, every metric, every advantage. All right, talking Texas. We already thought that they had one of the best rosters in America. They also went out last year and landed the #1 class in America. But that didn't stop them from getting active in the transfer portal, both in the winter and in the spring. So what do you like on the offensive side of the ball in terms of their transfer portal haul?
You know, Josh, it's funny. You look at what Texas lost. Matthew Golden, who could be potentially a top pick in the NFL draft. You lose a bunch of pass catchers. You lose your quarterback. And we saw Texas be in a spot where they didn't really do all that much in the transfer portal, at least when it came to grabbing pass catchers or playmakers or anything like that. So that tells me, if I'm Steve Sarkisian, with his track record working with offensive talent, Devontae Smith at Alabama, I mean, the resume is vast for him. He knows what it looks like to have what you need in the receiver room. So if I'm a Texas fan, the lack of activity actually makes me feel pretty good. But they grabbed a receiver from this past transfer portal cycle, the current transfer portal cycle, Emmett Mosley from Stanford. That's a dude who played on an offense that wasn't all that great out there on the farm. But when you watch Stanford play last year, they made a concerted effort to get the ball in his hands, which tells me, hey, we got a playmaker, got to feed him. It was bubble screens, it was intermediate routes, and so he may not be your wide receiver one this year. That would surprise me, but adding him to the mix gives Sark another weapon, and I think they're going to be in good position with Arch Manning to keep a good thing going on offense.
Yeah, you got to love it if you're a Texas fan. Everybody going in the portal, they're trying to find all these positions in the quarterback. We were just talking about Nico and Joey Aguilar, but Texas, they are set at that position. What do you like about what the Horns did on the defensive side of the ball?
You know, quite frankly, I think the way that they have just kind of a next man up mentality, because kind of the same thought, like you lost a lot to the NFL draft from a Jahdae Barron, and thankfully you kept Michael Taffenhaus, but overall, like again, the lack of activity from Texas to me says they feel pretty good about where they stand heading into next season. So there's not something that jumps out to me from this portal cycle on the defensive side, but the maturity of a Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill getting another year, that excites me for them.
And just going out and even taking depth pieces on the D-line, it shows you that Sark truly understands what it takes to not only compete for a championship, but to win it. You got to be stocked up more than you think you need on both the trenches, and I think that's what Texas did. What do you think about this roster heading into the season compared to Texas's roster last year heading into the season?
I think the identity, to me, feels a lot more clear as to what Texas wants to be. Last year, we went into the season thinking Texas offensively going to be a Ferrari. You got, Quinn Ewers back for another season. They're going to throw it around, and it's going to be, an aerial attack, and it really wasn't that. Now, some of that could be Quinn Ewers having his oblique torn in half. Probably doesn't help things downfield. But with Arch Manning, everyone's like, he can push the ball downfield. However, probably going to be a lot of his legs involved. Probably going to be a lot of running back by committee. So I think it'll be a lot more Hummer than Ferrari for Texas offensively, and I like that for them.
Isn't it funny how with a brand new quarterback, the offensive identity is almost more known than it was with
legitimately.
Returning starter?
Legitimately. And the fact that you could even go into October with Arch Manning and say, hey, he's totally comfortable with what we have at a base level. Let's add some other layers to this. Let's start throwing the deep ball a little bit more than we did early on in the year. Now, the tough part for Texas, game one, you go to Columbus, Ohio, so there's not really a ramp-up period for you. It's like, hey, we got the defending national champs game one, but just the way they're built, like you said, the anticipation of Sark to have this roster in such a steady place every single year, ton of credit to him the way he's built this thing.
It's an embarrassment of riches. So Texas fans, talk to us. What are your expectations for the 2025 season? Let us know. Comment section below.